Once upon a time there lived a man named Kabir on the western coast of India. Kabir was almost completely alone in the world. All his grandparents were dead. Both his parents were dead. He had no brothers, no sisters, no aunts. The only family he had left was an old uncle who lived far away in a village along a valley, a man Kabir had never met. One day, Kabir was sitting in the shade of a tree beside a well, when a beautiful young woman came to draw water. The moment he saw her, Kabir fell in love. When she finished filling her water pot and began walking back toward the city, Kabir followed at a distance, careful not to let her notice him. He followed her through the city gate, under the stone arch, along the narrow streets, through the busy market and into shaded lanes with high walls, until she reached her home. Only then did Kabir turn back. The next day he dressed in his finest clothes and went to speak with the young woman's father. The man was a wealthy merchant and received Kabir kindly. Through their conversation, Kabir learned that the young woman's name was Ria. Summoning all his courage, Kabir asked for her hand in marriage. The merchant smiled. "You may marry my daughter," he said. "But first you must bring me 500 pieces of silver. That way I will know you can give her a good home. If you bring the silver, I will give you even more to help you begin your life together." Kabir agreed and promised to return in 10 days. But when he stepped outside, his heart sank. In the whole world, Kabir owned only 30 pieces of silver. He walked up and down the street, troubled and ashamed. How could he ever find 470 more pieces? Why had he made such a promise? Then a thought struck him. His uncle. People said the old man was very rich. Without delay, Kabir set out on the long, dusty road to the valley village. He walked until nightfall, slept by the roadside, and continued again under the burning sun, stopping only briefly for water. At sunset the next day, he reached the village. The first man he met gave him directions. "You'll find the house on the right," the old man said. "The wall is broken, the roof lets in the stars." Kabir's hope faded. "Oh dear," said Kabir. "I thought my uncle was a rich man who could help me." "I don't know about that," said the old man. "He may be rich, but I can tell you this, and he doesn't throw his money around." So Kabir went off to find his uncle's tumble-down house. The house was in ruins. The garden was choked with weeds and rubbish. The walls were cracked, grass growing from the stones. The place had not been painted or cleaned in years. Outside, tied to the wall, stood an old white donkey, so thin its bones showed, barely able to stand. Moved by pity, Kabir bought hay and fed the donkey. The animal brayed and pawed the ground as if in gratitude. Inside the house, the smell was overwhelming. Nothing had been cleaned in decades. Still, the uncle welcomed Kabir warmly, and they talked long into the evening about family long gone. For supper, the uncle offered only a crust of bread, but Kabir ate it gratefully. When the meal ended, the uncle asked, "Why have you come to see me now?" Kabir spoke plainly. "I wish to marry a woman, and I need 500 pieces of silver." The uncle shook his head. "I have nothing," he said. "Look around you, I am a poor man." That night, Kabir slept on the hard floor and woke bruised and hungry. In the morning, the uncle said, "Come with me to the market, I will sell that donkey. It eats too much and is no use to me." In the marketplace, Kabir's uncle stood in the dust and shouted aloud, "Who will buy my donkey? Who will buy the donkey?" People gathered and looked at the animal with pity and mockery. "I'll give you 5 pieces of silver," said one man. "That's all it's worth, it's nothing but a living skeleton." "I'll give you 7, said another. "Call it 10, said a third. "You won't do better than that." Kabir stood quietly, watching and listening. As the men argued over the price, the donkey began to behave strangely. It turned its head and looked directly at Kabir. Then it pawed the ground, again, just as it had done the night before when Kabir had fed it the hay. Suddenly, Kabir spoke up. "I'll give you 20 pieces of silver for it." His uncle did not hesitate. "If that's the way you want it," he said. He took the money, stuffed it deep into his robe, and without another word hurried back toward his broken-down house. Kabir took hold of the donkey and began the long walk back to the city. As they walked, Kabir's thoughts tormented him. "What have I done? I left the city with 30 pieces of silver, hoping somehow to turn them into 500. Now I have only 10 pieces and a rag-and-bone donkey. I have only a few days left. What can I possibly do?" These thoughts followed him all the way home. When Kabir arrived, he had barely tied the donkey when there was a knock at his door. "You are Kabir?" the visitor asked. "Yes, I am sorry to bring bad news," the man said. "Your uncle has been killed by robbers. They were after the money you gave him for the donkey. They killed him as he was trying to hide it." He paused, then added, "You are his only living relative. The people of the village asked me to bring you this message." With that, the man mounted his horse and rode away. Kabir stood frozen. "I went to my uncle for help," he said aloud. "And instead I brought him terrible luck. If I had never gone to see him, he would still be alive." Tears filled his eyes. "And now I must return to the village for the funeral when I should be here trying to find the silver. Everything I do goes wrong." Still, Kabir knew that what must be done must be done. So once again, he set out on the long road back to the village, the old white donkey walking beside him. Part of him hoped, quietly, desperately, that his uncle had truly been rich and had hidden silver somewhere, but when he arrived, the house was empty. Everything had been taken. There was nothing left but rubbish. Kabir searched through it all, scraping and turning, but found nothing. Now only 2 days remained. Exhausted, he went outside and sat on the ground beside the donkey. 10 days ago, he said bitterly, I set my heart on marrying the most beautiful woman I have ever seen, and now I sit here with nothing but a donkey. But the donkey was not listening. It began to paw the ground again. Oh yes, Kabir sighed. You know what you want, don't you? Hay. That's the one thing I seem to know how to give you. He untied the donkey, thinking it would walk toward the hay itself, but instead the donkey trotted to the corner of the yard and began pawing the ground there. You funny old thing, Kabir said. Is the hay not good enough for you, or do you want me to feed you in your favorite corner? He carried the hay to where the donkey stood. The donkey kept pawing. Water then? Kabir said, fetching water from the well. Still the donkey pawed the ground. What a mystery, Kabir muttered. They say donkeys are stupid, but this is something else. Then suddenly, Kabir stopped. He stared at the ground. It's me who's stupid, he said softly. You're trying to tell me something. Kabir rushed to fetch a spade and began digging. At first there was nothing, but he kept digging deeper and deeper until his spade struck something hollow. He cleared the earth away and uncovered a wooden chest. With trembling hands he opened it. Inside were hundreds and hundreds of pieces of silver, his uncle's hidden treasure. More than enough. Kabir dropped the spade and ran to the donkey, throwing his arms around its neck. Oh, thank you, he cried. You clever, clever donkey. I promise you will have as much hay and water as you want for the rest of your life. He returned to the city, paid the bride price, married Ria, and lived happily for many years. And the donkey never went hungry again. Sometimes what looks useless is your breakthrough. Sometimes help comes wearing humility. And sometimes your kindness opens doors you didn't even know existed. Never despise what God places in your path. It may not look like provision, but it may be carrying it. So let me ask you, what have you been overlooking in your life simply because it didn't look important? If this story blessed you, strengthened your faith, or shifted your perspective, please do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more short, inspiring stories like this. And do not forget to share this story to others, to also bless a life.